Hello, thank you for inviting me to your important conference. Maybe I will do some scene setting and then also why heat pumps, geothermal is so important for our future. We are in a difficult moment because of Putin's war. This war is on three levels. One is the war in Ukraine. And in these days, this war is extremely brutal against the citizens of Ukraine, as Putin is losing out on the military field. He's now taking hostage millions of Ukrainians and has destroyed large parts of their electricity and heating system, which is really insane. The second battleground of Putin is its weaponization of energy, especially on gas, which puts us in a difficult situation in Europe. And the third, and that's something you should not underestimate, is social media and disinformation and Russia trying to basically put pressure on Bulgarian politics and Romanian, on Czech politics, and even turning up with extreme right and far right parties in Western Europe to destabilize our solidarity for Ukraine and against Putin. So that's one important battlefield. There's a second one, which is even more existential for humanity, which is climate change. We have lost too many years, and now there's very little time. So we have, I think, 6, 7, 8 years to reverse the tendency of growing CO2 emissions, and therefore we must speed up the energy transition. And that is where renewable energy is important. Solar, wind, onshore, offshore, that is where energy efficiency is important, insulation of buildings, for example, but that's also where three key technologies are important. That is EV, so electromobility for cars, but also for trucks. It is the PV, of course, and of course heat pumps, HP. Why is a heat pump so important? Because it will be the reference technology for all heating and cooling in the future. On heat pumps, we have different technologies. We have air water, which will be the standard technology in most of the single houses. We have water, which is with drilling, which will reuse for bigger buildings, and there will be a new technology also emerging, which is low temperature district heating, where we can then de facto replace the geothermal drilling by having a low temperature fluid, notably in the city centers. What we try to do in Luxembourg is really to move the show and to make Luxembourg a heat pump centered country. From 1st of January 23 on, all our new buildings will have to be fossil free, and that we will achieve with heat pumps in the small buildings and in the big buildings, combining at different scale air, water heat pumps, geological, let's say, not so deep geothermal drillings, and then we are also now going in Luxembourg to have some deep geothermal to feed in the south of Luxembourg larger areas with heat from the underground, which is then a real zero carbon heat and which will help us in the transformation. But we are also working a lot with industry. All process heating, which is below 250 degrees, can be replaced by heat pumps, and that is also very important to focus now on. And in Luxembourg, we will use the new waiver we got from DG Competition, from Commissioner Vestager, the contracts for difference, where we can then team up with industry. Industry will basically have a contract over 8 or 10 years, switching from fossil processing to heat pump processing, and we will not only pay for capex, for the investment, but also for opex, operational aid, if needed. There is 3 asks I have for your industry. First is, we have to take noise serious. If we want large-scale deployment of heat pumps in the city centers. We need to reduce the noise, and your industry has to reduce the noise levels. You are able to do it, and in Luxembourg, for example, you only get support system financial support if you are below 48 decibel. So we have one of the strictest support regimes, and I think that is where we need also Europe to move through the eco-design to force your industry to really work on the noise levels. The second issue is water authorities are not big fans of drilling, of geothermal drilling. And I think they are partially right, because the drilling of geothermal needs to have higher standards. If we get one of the drillings wrong, we can really pollute forever the groundwater, and we will need in certain areas groundwater. So you need to work with drilling companies, and these companies must be high-tech and must be zero accident, in a certain zero hazard industry, in order to reinforce the compromise between moving fast in the energy transition with geothermal and also water protection, which is important. And the last issue is industrial policy. I think Europe needs to rethink its industrial policy and to bring back to Europe part of these technologies in order also to be less dependent on other areas of the world. And then the last issue where we have to collectively work on is authorization regimes. Often today it takes too long to install, and I'm quite pleased that now in the Renewable Directive, renewable energy and heat pumps are defined as investment of general interest, and that we have a new regulation which also basically allows us to go much faster on heat pumps, solar, electromobility, and we need that. The race against climate change is a race which we have to win in the next 5, 6, 7 years, and therefore we must go deep, fast, and we can only do it if we bring together your industry with policymakers at all levels and move fast. Thank you very much, and have a good exchange on your important conference.